everybody. Today I want to take a minute and talk about some Barris Harris concepts, specifically how they apply to R&B guitar playing. I've been checking out a lot of Barris Harris's stuff lately, diving in deep and sort of coming to realize that a lot of the really cool sort of R&B smooth guitar stuff that I know and love really sort of stems from these concepts, stuff that like Isaiah Sharkey would be doing or Spanky. People like that can really all be sort of broken down and explained using a lot of these Barris Harris concepts. We're not going to dive too deep into the theory behind what Barris Harris talks about. There's a lot of great YouTube content that does that. I would suggest going back and checking out the original Barris Harris videos where he talks about some of this stuff. Robbie Barnby has an amazing video that dives super deep into all the theory behind this stuff. Things I've learned from Barris Harris YouTube channel as well. But yeah, we're going to just sort of apply some concepts and I'm going to go through a few different things, and yeah, hope you enjoy. Please like and subscribe to the channel, get notified when I put out new stuff, and follow along. So yeah, without further ado, let's check it out. So the first thing I want to talk about is diminished passing chords, which is a big part of what Barris Harris's diminished sixth scale and all of that is about. Specifically how to get from two minor chords that are kind of a fourth apart, like going from like an A minor to a D minor, like a 6 to a 2 if you were in the key of C. That would sound something like this. So that sort of pattern I hear a lot in R&B kind of playing, and it can be explained using Barris Harris's concept, because when you're on that A minor 7, Barry thinks of all of his minor 7 chords as kind of their relative sixth major chord. So he'd be thinking about that A minor 7 as kind of like a C major 6. And once you're in the C major 6 scale, you get all these other diminished, like B diminished, D diminished, in the minor thirds apart. So there's this idea of sort of switching between what diminished family you're using in order to resolve to a chord. So the first chord in the little progression there is A minor, and then you get to the B diminished chord, and then from there you're trying to get to the D minor 7. So that's in the family of F major 6 is how Barry would describe it. So that gives you this family of diminished chords. E, C sharp diminished, E, so on and so forth, minor thirds. So that gives you, and then if you switch, now you've got C sharp diminished, E, which resolves nicely down to the D minor 7. So utilizing that same melody, you can apply it to different chords as well. It doesn't just have to be minor chords moving up, a fourth. It really works for all sorts of chords, as long as that movement is a fourth away. A great example of this is in PJ Morton's tune, I Don't Want to Go Through Your Phone. It sounds like, that first chord, B flat dominant. If you harmonize that using this sort of concept, it ends up sounding like this. So again, B flat diminished, and in Barris Harris's B flat dominant, diminished sixth scale, the second chord is that C diminished. And now again, we're going to switch, because now we're trying to get to E flat minor 7, which is in the family of G flat major 6, which gives you F diminished, D diminished. So now we're going to switch to that D diminished, go back, and now we're trying to get to A flat 7. So we're doing the same sort of thing. And now switch into the A flat 7 diminished family. So, as you can see, that it's a real classic R&B kind of sound, just to kind of pop up a fourth to get to that next chord you're trying to land on. So the next thing I want to further expand on a little bit is how Barry Harris likes to think of minor 7 chords as, their associated major 6 chord, a minor third above. So, again, when you have A minor 7, instead of thinking about that like an A minor 7, think about it like a C major 6. Because now all of a sudden you have an access to that whole C major 6, family of, C major 6 and the associated diminished chords. So, that leaves you with A minor 7, this B diminished. These are all drop 2 voicings, which sound really great in this kind of context. There's your C major 6 with the A and the bass this time. And you've got, D diminished, the B in the lowest voice. C major 6 again. This voicing in particular over an A minor 7, I think sounds great. D diminished again. This time with D in the lowest voice, F in the top. You've got another A minor 7 or C major 6. And the last diminished again before you get back. So, this one especially will sound great, playing this kind of style. So it really just gives you a ton of stuff to do over like a 1 chord vamp, if you're just playing over A minor 7. So another thing Barry Harris talks about is utilizing the minor 6 diminished scale, a half step above a dominant chord. So now if you have like A7, you've got B flat minor flat 6 scale to kind of work with. And something that, I heard Spanky do a lot, is stuff like this over a dominant chord to resolve to, a major or minor 1 chord like. And that's all stemming right from this sort of concept that you can use a minor 6 chord above, a half step above a dominant, which gives you this voicing here. That's a B flat minor 6 voicing again in drop 2. And so with that said, you get all the B flat minor 6 voicings now, and so on and so forth. So, and then again, that particular lick, if you switch there in the middle, because you're trying to get to D minor, which we know is in the family of F major 6, gives you this E diminished and this C sharp diminished chord. So you're kind of starting with all the B flat minor 6 ideas. Now you're on to, the family of D minor 7 here, E diminished. And then it resolves nicely to D minor 7. You can use a couple more too. So now utilizing both of those chords, gives us obviously a 2-5-1 if we're talking about E minor 7 and utilizing the G major 6, family of chords, and A7 utilizing the B flat minor 6 diminished family of chords. Putting those two together gives you nice ways to play over a 2-5 that'll end up resolving to D major, in this key. And that can sound something like that. And again, that's all just, you're thinking about the G major 6 family of chords over the E minor 7, and you're thinking about the B flat minor 7, B flat minor 6 major chord, B flat minor 6 family of chords over the 7. And then back to your D major. So the last little thing I want to talk about is thinking about major 7 chords now as major 6 chords a fourth below. You know, if you have C major 6 or C major 7, that is, you know, basically the same chord as E minor 7. And we know E minor 7's relative major 6th is G major 6. So, you know, C major 7 has all the same notes in it as the G major 6 scale. So with that said, if you go up the G major 6 scale, you'll find that C is actually the diminished. So with that knowledge, it can be cool to, you know, if you're playing like C major as the 1 chord, it'll also sound really good as a diminished chord. And now that you're in, you know, the C diminished family, E flat diminished is going to work, G flat diminished is going to work, all of that. So it's a great way to get to either your 2 chord or your 3 chord. You know, it can sound something like 5 back to 1. Go to 3 this time. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I really hope you got something out of this. Again, it wasn't really a deep dive into the theory behind a lot of the stuff. Hopefully you just caught some licks, but I really encourage you to dive deeper into, you know, the actual theory behind this stuff, because it'll open up tons and tons more licks and ideas for you to explore. These are just a few that I think apply really well for R&B guitar, and yeah, I hope you got something out of it. Make sure you like and subscribe the channel. I'll be posting a bunch more content, so follow along, and hope to see you again. Thanks so much.